Hi everyone, welcome to today's tutorial on Excel. We'll be looking at the new Data Explorer to access the 2018 census. In the past, we've always used nz.stats, however, now that's been replaced. We'll calculate the proportion of children aged 0 to 14 and elderly aged 65 and above in relation to the general population, as well as make a graph on Excel. To access the Aotearoa Data Explorer, you just put it into your search bar on Google. And the first result that comes up should be an StatsNZ website, and click on it. And the first link, and use Aotearoa Data Explorer. Or you can just find the website through the website link here. When you first get into this website, it might show you a pop-up asking which organization you're from. You can just select the student option. And to navigate, you can either search by keywords or browse by the existing categories that they've given. For today's tutorial, we'll be using the population and migration under 2018 census. And on the left-hand side here, you have your filters, and on the right, you have your results. And we'll be using the census night population count, which is the second result. Once you're here, you can see the filters are still on your left side, and you can find the applied filters on the top and your data table on the bottom right. The first things that we'll fix is the age groups. And you want to deselect the total number of people because sometimes the calculations doesn't add up, so we'll calculate the total on our own. And you want to select under 15 years. You can select 0 to 4 and each of the subgroups. And for the rest of the age groups, you can just select it as a whole. The reason why we're selecting under 15 years on its own is because in the past, it used to be under 16 years, I believe, and so you had to filter out the 15 and 16-year-olds by selecting just the other groups. And for the sake of this tutorial, we're showing you so that you can better understand how to use Excel as the calculating functions. So that's why we're selecting it separately. But otherwise, now they've changed it to under 15 years. It's the same thing. And for the year, you want to just select the 2018. Next, we'll be sorting through the area. So when you expand on the area, you want to use the advanced selection modes, which is this arrow here. And you can collapse all and deselect all three. And expand on the regional council and expand on the Auckland region. And change the selection mode to item and all items directly below. This will allow us to choose Auckland as a whole, as well as all the suburbs. And if you change it back to single item, and you can deselect Auckland. So now you only have the Auckland suburbs and not the total, the whole of Auckland, and hit apply. You should have 572 filters, and you can explore the data table here. And if you see the C dot dot, that just means it's confidential data, so there's no access to it. And we can just click download and table in Excel. The cool thing about the Aotearoa Data Explorer is the new interface, so you can look at the overview of the data set, and you can also look through online charts. So it will generate a chart based on your data. I think we have too much, so I don't know if it will actually generate. Oh, yeah. So it generates a chart of some sort. But anyways, we will open the Excel file. It might give you an error code saying that it needs to be recovered. We'll just say yes. And enable editing. So the first thing we'll sort through is the confidential data, and to do so we'll use the find and replace tool, which is Control F. And you want to go replace, find C dot dot and replace with null. So that will let us do our calculations. Now we'll make a new totals column. So on the side, you want to put total. And over here, you can just click AutoSum. It will select all the numbers before the cell and give you a total. Once you have that, you can hover over the bottom right and a plus sign should come up, and that allows you to copy and paste whatever equation was in the first cell into the cells below. And now we'll calculate the proportion of elderly. So proportion of elderly. We'll just cut this and paste it into here so that it lines up with the area. So that's all lined up. We can do equals age 65 and over divided by the total population, enter. And again, just copy the equation to the cells below. Now for the proportion of children, you need to find out how many are under the age of 15, so we can put under 15. And this is how you will do equations without using AutoSum. So instead of clicking on AutoSum, you can just go sum, bracket, and choose the 3 categories, hold down Shift and select, and close the bracket. And that's how you would do it without AutoSum. And again, just copy the equation down to the bottom, and now we can calculate the proportion of children. And the equation is equals the number of children under 15 divided by the total number of population, and copy the equation to the last cell. Once you've finished doing your calculations, you can make a new sheet. The sheet can be called proportions, and that's where we'll finalize the data. So you want to copy over the area, and another way to kind of select from top to bottom is holding down Control Shift and the bottom arrow key. That will choose all the data sets that's been filled in within that column, and you can just paste it. It's much easier than trying to do it by mouse. And we can do the same thing for the proportion of elderly. So click on the first cell, Control Shift bottom arrow key, copy, Control C. And when you're pasting, remember to paste as values, otherwise it will show up as an error code because it won't be able to find the reference for the equation. Over here, same thing, click on the proportion of children, the first cell, Control Shift bottom arrow key, copy, and paste as values. And if you double click on the end of the cell, you can expand it to the widest width to fit all the numbers. Next, we'll just tidy up the data. So sometimes it will give you error codes, so hash value and hash division errors. So we want to change those to null. So if you go Control F, replace, and put in hash value exclamation mark, replace with null, replace all. So most of these errors come from the fact that there's confidential data and the division doesn't go through. So we can just replace these. Next one is the division error. Hash div /0 exclamation mark and replace all. Once that's done, we can continue sorting our data by Control A. That will select everything within the sheet. And if you go up to sort and filter, custom sort, sort by area, and we'll reorganize it alphabetically. And that's sorted that. Then you can also change your decimals into percentages by going Control A, selecting everything, and choosing the percentage. Now for the graph making, we'll be looking at specifically Albany. So Albany Central, Albany Heights, Albany South, and Albany West. If you hold down Shift and click on the last cell here, you will be able to select the whole area and go into Insert, Graphs, and you want a 2D column graph. And that will generate your graph for you. For the chart title, we will use proportion of elderly and children in Albany. And once that's set, you can see that on the bottom in the legend it says Series 1 and Series 2. To change that, you right click and select data. And Series 1 relates to the first column, and that's elderly, so we'll go edit and change that to elderly. Okay, and Series 2 is children, and go okay. And hit OK, and that will change the legend for you. There's also a lot of other chart elements that you can add if you wish. And to change the color of the bars, you can click on the bar and go into fill and line. And this is where you can change your bar color to whatever you like. And same for the children. You can click and change it to whichever you'd prefer. And that's how you sort through census data in a very simple way and create a graph in Excel. Thank you guys for watching.